distinguished guests, and my fellow Kenyans, 55 years ago today, our beautiful flag was hoisted for the first time, announcing our pride in the independence we had won. It embraced our identity as a free people and recalled the sacrifices that had been made to win our freedom and laid claim to our blessed land. Our national anthem was heard for the first time, praying for unity, peace, justice, and liberty, and then calling us to serve and defend our motherland. Fellow Kenyans, as we go about our daily routine, building our nation, let us always remember those visionary words of our national anthem. In particular, our young Kenyans must know that our freedom was not given to us on a silver platter. It was fought for, and we must continue to defend it at all times. Men and women, most of whom are no longer with us, and some who you see here today, quite elderly now, fought to free us from the oppression and indignity of colonialism. They endured immense cruelties and indignities, but they remained strong and united in the struggle. Their movement changed the world. They struggled forward as Africans, united to their brothers and sisters in the different colonies by the desire to forge a free and prosperous Africa. Indeed, today my challenge to our youth is to keep the flame of our freedom fighters alive and keep Kenyans united as we all work to bringing Africa together. You have in you the spirit of the great men and women who fought to bring life to an independent Kenya, and always remember them, and we must never betray their cause. We are, yes, independent, but we must remember that our nation has new enemies, and our freedom faces new threats. We have men and women in uniform today who are standing in harm's way away from home to safeguard our liberties. We salute those who have fallen in the line of duty. We honor their sacrifice, and we thank them and their families from the very bottom of our hearts. Fellow Kenyans, the first generation of independent Kenyans knew political independence was important, but not sufficient to build a free, secure, and prosperous country. They knew we needed to be free from poverty, ignorance, and disease. To forge ahead, they introduced economic and development plans. They sought to build sufficient prosperity for the country to be able to defeat poverty, ignorance, and disease. Their policies helped us develop the biggest and most diverse economy in East and Central Africa. We went from having one referral hospital in 1963 to 6 public ones today, in addition to a host of private ones. With better health and nutrition, Kenyans today are living nearly twice as long on average as their fathers did at independence. Moreover, far few mothers die in childbirth. We have cut child mortality to a quarter of what it was in 1963, and in the last few years, we have greatly accelerated this progress. From a handful of graduates from a single university at independence, millions of Kenyans are today graduates of more than 60 universities, and from being required to have passes To move from one place to another, Kenyans have in millions traveled to every part of the world and won respect for their hard work, honesty, and ambition. We are building today new and modern roads connecting every part of our country. The days of road journeys that took weeks in vehicles that kept getting stuck in mud are fast falling behind us. Our port in Mombasa is the busiest in the region and the fastest improving. From our international airports, you can journey directly to dozens of destinations on 4 continents. Fellow Kenyans, transforming Kenya from a nation of poverty to prosperity requires more than a single generation, or one term, or one set of leaders. Those countries that started off at the same level as we were in the 1960s are today prosperous, most of them in Asia. This prosperity is because they focused on development and did not entertain misappropriation of public resources. Even when their leaders changed, their development plans were sustained. They were united and committed to good governance and achievement of their national aspirations. We celebrate today that we are a free people, able to chart our own destiny and build a better future together. We, however, need to use better our hard-earned freedom to build our economy, create jobs for our young people, conquer hunger, and improve access to quality education and healthcare. Success in this regard calls for unity of purpose around the national development plans already in place, such that every leader who comes to power sustains the effort. And to that end, I am very grateful to my brothers and sisters who we competed with last year, but who have come together to work together with us to make Kenya prosperous, led by my elder brother, Honorable Raila Odinga, and we are grateful to them, and we shall work together for this nation. From sessional paper number 10 of 1965 to Vision 2030 of 2008, as well as the 2010 Constitution, Kenyans have produced excellent plans that have been adopted by other countries to transform their economies and achieve prosperity that we envy today. We need to do better to implement our plans and make their results responsive to the ideals enshrined in our Constitution. And we all have a part to play, and to do so in a responsible and respectful manner. Our political class has to step up and focus on the people and on keeping them united by practicing politics of uniting Kenyans against our common enemy, that is poverty, ignorance, and disease. Our job as leaders is very simple. It is to work for the people of Kenya every single day, to rebuild the bonds of brotherhood between our peoples, and to weave a new and stronger fabric of patriotism and nationhood that we as a country so desperately require. Fellow Kenyans, last year on JAMHURI Day, I unveiled the Big Four agenda in response to what I had heard Kenyans wanted their government to do for them. You expressed very clearly in the election season, as well as in previous years, growing frustration of joblessness among our youth, the high cost of basic foods, scarcity of affordable housing, and limited access to health care. The Big Four responds to these needs. It is an accelerated development agenda designed to help us achieve the social and economic pillars of our Vision 2030 and our 2010 Constitution. We decided to have manufacturing as one of the four pillars of the Big Four in order to grow a larger national cake. Our aim is to sharply raise the contribution of manufacturing to our national income as a means to achieve shared prosperity, and that is why my administration will continue to push the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya philosophy. And I expect all Kenyans to support this strategy. To attract investors, both local and foreign, we as a government have been investing heavily in power generation, roads and railway, education and health. It is also the reason we are working hard to make it easier for business to be conducted in Kenya. If we cannot compete effectively, our dreams of a prosperous country with decent jobs for all will not happen. A single example of the kind of ambition we have brought to this task is reflected in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business rankings. The latest report identified 5 key reforms that we undertook in the past year to improve the business climate for small and medium-sized businesses. We are now in position 61 globally from a rank of 80 last year, making us one of the most improved countries in the world. This, however, is still not good enough, especially with regard to small and medium-sized businesses which still have to contend with far too much red tape and corruption. With the deepening of Huduma Mashinani, we remain hopeful to see better progress in cutting the red tape and corruption. But I must make it clear, it is important and urgent that those in our regulatory agencies at both the national and county level start to shed their gatekeeping mentality and instead embrace the role of being facilitators for business and trade. For those who continue to treat their public offices as toll stations to harass wananchi, the broom that is sweeping across the nation will soon find its way to your doorsteps. As a government, we remain committed to do more for our micro-sized manufacturers in the Juakali sector, as it is a major employer of our people. We are currently working with the banking sector on redesigning the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority Fund so that we can unlock much-needed affordable credit for our small businesses. We will strengthen legislation that enables rather than hinders their efforts and offer access to affordable technology that will help them improve their productivity and competitiveness. Our efforts are translating to foreign and domestic investors, realizing that with every passing day, Kenya is one of the best destinations in which to build their enterprises. My administration will keep its foot on the pedal in making Kenya more and more open to good and honest entrepreneurs. Turning to the housing pillar, this initiative is anchored under the Affordable Housing Program that will, among other benefits, deliver 500,000 affordable homes. In the last 12 months, we have laid an appropriate legal and policy foundation that provides the platform to transform our housing sector for the better. This is the first time that public-private partnerships will be so instrumental in the provision of affordable homes. As promised 1 year ago, we have established now the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, whose sole remit will be to work with the banking sector and the cooperative movement through SACCOs to make available affordable mortgage finance for those wishing to own a home. The Kenya Mortgage Finance Company will help to extend the tenure of housing loans from the current average of 7 years to at least 20 years. It will also assist in driving interest rates on mortgages to single digits. Further, after extensive debate, we finally received approval by the National Assembly to establish the Kenya Housing Development Fund. And I thank you, our members of Parliament, the trade unions, and the Kenya Federation of Employers for your support to this fund. The Housing Fund is the anchor of our public-private partnership-led housing model, and it is the fund that will be the primary off-taker of approved building developments designed and implemented under the program. I hope to launch the first of the many housing developments in a week's time from today. In parallel to these efforts, the private sector shall, by subscribing to the new Housing Development Framework Guidelines, be able to develop housing projects for offtake by the Housing Fund. With all of us working at full steam, the dream of creating 500,000 new homeowners is attainable. The benefits of this program will extend beyond the homeowners and will benefit thousands of households by creating jobs for workers in the construction industry and associated sectors. To guarantee affordability and promote domestic industries, the government will further encourage construction companies to use locally produced building materials and inputs such as doors, windows, hinges, sand and cement must and should be secured domestically. The third pillar of the Big Four is food security. There is no reason why Kenya cannot feed itself and make food affordable to all. And we will take every step to ensure that farming goes beyond subsistence and that every farmer is running a profitable business. We will reform our approach to input subsidies by introducing greater transparency in their funding and ensuring that subsidies benefit the farmers and not unscrupulous middlemen and brokers. We are taking measures also to reduce post-harvest losses, promoting crop and livestock insurance through the accelerated construction of water pans and the rehabilitation of old dams. We will sharply raise the total land under irrigation and begin to overcome the unpredictability of rain-fed agriculture.